Okay, so I did 2 turns on driver's side. Ended up just going 2.5 on the passenger side. Just to see if I could even it out a little bit. We'll see how it does. I can always back off or do whatever, you know. And they're actually really easy to turn. I had a Chevy Love. It had torsion bars, and even with the weight off the vehicle, those things were hard to turn. So these were easy. So anyway, let me get the front end back together, and we'll see what the ride height is. Alright, so back to the bump stops. What I did, took a screwdriver and wedged in between the bump stop and the bracket. You can see it's got these little indentions that hold the, see, like right there, that hold it in. You just get a screwdriver in and push the bump stop out and pry it out. So that got it out. Now I just need to pop these back in. Kind of cleaned off that surface where it rides. And I'll have to work, I need both hands, but I'll have to kind of work these in, being real gentle with the screwdriver, and may spray them with some WD-40 or something. So those are not the easiest things to get in. What I ended up doing was there's 4 of these little indentions that holds it. I slipped it up on the bottom 2. Slipped it in on the bottom 2, and so it was, the rubber was sitting about it right here. So I started putting pressure on the jacking up on the ball joint to where it would start pushing this bump stop up in there, and then I was able to get a screwdriver between the metal part and the bushing and kind of pry it around to kind of push it in, and I was able to get it pushed in. So not the easiest thing to do, but not too bad, and it's up in there all the way, and on all 4. I can let it back off now. Actually, I'll just leave it like that, and I'll go ahead and tighten the front shock up. So let me get that tightened up. Working on the passenger side now. Got the bump stop out, got the shock out. So I'll clean up this little pad right here, and then get the bump stop in, and then I'll set the shock in. And this is just, here's one of the new ones, or almost new. They look new. I don't, you don't see any wear on them where they've been riding. But here's the old ones. This was the better side. Pretty bad. This was passenger side, and driver side. Gone. And this new one is just very stiff. So maybe they redesigned these things, maybe it'll hold up better. We'll see. So I'll show you kind of what I did. Let me get this somewhere where. So as you can see, jacked up on the ball joint on the A-arm, and to give it pressure up against that bump stop, and then I would just take, so this part was actually sticking out, and it was pushed in under these little clips on the back side. So the front side was sticking out. It's kind of up against this ledge, kind of like it was pushed in like that, and then this part was resting up against there. So then I would take my screwdriver and slip it in between the rubber and the metal frame here behind this, and then pry over, which would push that thing in, and it was kind of on the screw right here, and then push up, and it would push the rubber in and up over this over one of these, and it did the same thing over here, in and then up, and it pushed it in over there, and then I had to do the do the middle the same way, and it got it in there. So now we've got that done, and we just got to put our bottom nut on the shock and our top little rubber bushing, grommet, whatever, and nut on the top of the shock there. So let's get this side wrapped up and we'll get it on the ground and see how it sits. Figured I'd do one last shot before I put the wheel on. Like I said, got the bottom tight, bump stop is in, and then got the top nut tightened. Okay, so what I've got now, remember I did 2.5 turns on the passenger side, 2 turns on the driver's side, and so what I've got is 35.5 on the driver's side front, and just under 35.5 on the passenger side front. So we almost evened out the front, but what it did, I've still got I don't remember the exact measurements on the back, but this side is now a 1/2 inch higher, or so the front's almost evened, but the back is off a 1/2 inch, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go drive it, remeasure it, and I may end up tightening the driver's side down. I'll either back off, depending on what I measure, I'll either back off the passenger side a 1/2 turn or tighten down the driver's side a 1/2 turn, so that it would be equal measurements, and try to get the front, try to get the sides. I don't care as much that the sides are even, as far as, this one may be, the driver's side may be off a passenger, or the driver's side may be, 1/4 inch higher than the passenger side, which is fine by me. Main thing I don't want, I want them to be even from the front to the rear, so that the driver's side front is, 1/4 inch higher, and the driver's side rear is 1/4 inch higher. Not, the front, both sides are even, and the back, one's a 1/2 inch off. I don't want that. I want the distance between the two sides to be the same between the front and the rear. So, anyway, it's kind of a lot of blabbering. So, I'm gonna go drive it a little bit and then remeasure it and see how it measures. But it looks a whole lot better, and that was just, it's still sitting kind of on the bump stops, which it's supposed to. So that was only 1.25 inches difference, but it looks a whole lot better. So I like the height. I don't care if it's level, because we'll be towing and stuff with this, and I don't like the saggy rear end towing. I'd rather it to level out when you got a load on it than sag when you got a load on it. So I don't mind the back being higher. I just don't want the front to be so high. About 2 inches higher on the back seems about right, instead of 3.5 inches. So anyway, let's drive it and I'll remeasure it. Okay, so here's what we got. After driving it, and it drives a whole lot nicer. It's not, I wouldn't say stiffer in the front or rougher, it's firmer, which a lot of that's probably from the shocks and the bump stops, and it is still sitting on the bump stops. I can show you that in a minute, which on these it's supposed to sit on the bump stop. So here's what we got. We were 34 1/4 before, we're 35 1/4. We were 34, now we're 35. We're 37 3/4, still 37 3/4, 37 1/2, 37 1/2. So, I picked it up exactly an inch in the front. I feel like a lot of that came from just the bump stops, because like those others were down to nothing. Let me turn the light on. Okay, so I can show y'all now. See, it's still sitting on the bump stops like it's supposed to. I think what I'm going to do, just to make sure that the bump stops aren't what's holding it up, which I kind of feel like they are, I'm going to turn each torsion bar maybe we'll just do half a turn and see if that does anything to the ride height. Alright, so we've got, after going half a turn on each side, I've got 35 and just over 1/4 on the passenger side, or on the driver's side, and 35 just under 1/4 on the passenger side, and the back is still the same. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I think it's pretty good. It's still, you know, right on the bump stops, kind of compressing them just slightly. And that brings it up about 1.5 inches from where it was. Well, let's see, or about 1 inch from where it was, and to me it looks a lot better. And you know, still sitting low in the back or in the front, but much better. That's should be about the stock height.